Hey, this is Stephen Buonocore, the Podfather of Gaming,
And I'm Ira Fay.
and we are here today to bring you live commentary on the World Series of Board Gaming's final table for War of the Ring. Wow, Ira, this is incredible. Watching this final table is going to be amazing, and your commentary as being an absolute expert and me being a minor expert is going to be fantastic, I think.
I'm happy to be here. It should be a great game to watch.
That's awesome. Hey, I see that the competitors are already at the table and they're about to start. So let's get over to the final table right now.
Cakes first.
Play.
Good luck, guys.
All right, so right here at the final table, we have Eric
Okay.
Sapilla.
I'll bid first.
Who is
And-
Slick Rick on Discord? He's Slick Rick.
Slick Rick. I love that name.
Yeah.
And we have Bob Menkveld. And right now they're doing something
Bob-
you don't normally do, if you don't mind me going through this. They're doing something they don't normally do. They're bidding for what side they're going to play.
All right. Let's do it.
Wow. Okay, so that was actually what I would consider a very high bid, if I heard that correctly. Rick
Seven of
bid
these will have the
6
red
tokens,
mustard and the
and Bob went up to 7, which is I mean, that's extremely high in my mind. That gives a significant advantage to the Free People's player, but
how many
yeah,
others?
I know that Bob
So it's,
prefers Shadow and thinks that Shadow is favored in the base game, so that's exciting
And-
to see that.
And as you noticed, Eric gave that first pretty high bid, and it was rejected. And Bob then overbid him to play Shadow. Eric bid first because he had the higher ranking coming into the final
Okay,
table.
got it.
First roll, first turn. They're getting right into it.
No mustards. Very good.
Yeah, it looks like Bob did not allocate any eyes. He rolled only 1, and it looks like he did get 2 musters, enough to get Saruman turn 1. So he's starting to get Isengard toward war.
Yeah, and
making progress.
as we know, that is a certainly an early strategy that you need, especially as the Shadow player, to get your nations to war, so you can start mustering larger armies.
Let's start us
Yeah, and we
out
just
by
saw that
using
Bob
a token, a muster
drew a
token
strategy card.
to
Um,
bring the Hellsdown one.
You know, it's not that likely that he would have a playable card on the very first round. So he did decide to draw and see what his options are.
Right.
And we saw that Rick just used, or Eric just used his first of 7 action tokens, advancing the elves towards war.
Right.
Let's use another muster to bring the elves.
That's interesting.
Yep.
We saw that Bob used a muster to get Sauron to war. It makes me wonder if he has some card that encourages
Oh.
that. Okay. He wanted to
Oh.
move towards Woodland Realm right away.
Yeah. So he's immediately he's just taking his current armies. I don't believe he has not mustered any extra armies into those areas, and he's just now moving them, trying to hit from Dol Guldur, trying to hit Woodland Realm, and then the other one to what is the center of?
It's Gorgoroth.
Gorgoroth.
Barad-dûr to Gorgoroth. Yeah.
Right. So he's going to probably group up those 2 armies there and put them all in minus Morgul.
So we're seeing the first attack of the game. It's that army from Dol Guldur coming into Old Forest Road. That one northern unit, originally in Carrick, managed to get in the way to try and slow down that army. And I think this is actually a consequence of the early musters that Slick Rick did, because Bob was not afraid to get that elven stronghold under siege as soon as possible. And it looks like he's gonna okay, so that was a movement. So the Fellowship just moved. That was a safe movement, first movement for the Fellowship, and now Bob is getting Saruman, which makes a lot of sense. Now he's gonna have 8 dice starting next round.
Hey, let's
And Rick
note.
is moving.
I'm sorry, Ira.
No,
let's,
go ahead.
Let's note how fast that they're playing. I mean, obviously this is the time when certain moves are a little rote, so therefore they're playing these turns real fast. I have a feeling later on this is going to slow down a bit as the contemplation needs to get longer.
Yeah, and we did see a second successful movement by the Fellowship. So the Fellowship has moved twice.
Did you pick up cards already?
I did.
Okay.
And it looks like Bob's going to allocate the minimum eyes required, 1 eye. And now they're rolling.
Right.
Bob has 8 dice to Eric's only 4 dice.
Okay, what we got here? We have some options.
They're now fully in round 2
Yeah.
with this second set of dice in this action dice selection card war game.
Not yet this game.
That's what I always like to describe War of the Ring as a card-driven action dice selection war game. Plenty of mechanics in play in this amazing game. My favorite game of all. How does this rank in your overall games?
I think this is number 1.
There you go.
It's near the top for me. So I just want to call out, we saw that Eric had Power to Great in hand, and he played it using a Palantir die, which allowed him to redraw a strategy card using Gandalf's Guide ability, and it put the elves to war simultaneously.
Very nice.
But a Power to Great does not protect Woodland Realm. So Bob was still able to besiege Woodland Realm. We see that as soon as Eric put the elves to war, allowing potentially Woodland Realm to muster, Bob immediately put them under siege.
Right.
So they're not able to muster once they're under siege.
And right, exactly. You can't muster into a siege, right? You're all locked up there in the stronghold, so the elves are going to have to just use the people they have there to try to defend themselves from this army that is besieging them.
And the regular unit from Carrick did get 1 hit in, and given that Bob did not muster anything extra in Dol Guldur before advancing, are we seeing? Oh, it looks like some card was just played that maybe got him some extra units there. So he did have quite a few Palantir results this round, and he drew another strategy card, and now I think he just played one to get reinforcements in Woodland Realm. Eric is continuing to use, Slick Rick is continuing to use additional muster tokens, getting the north towards war, and that will cause trouble up in that area of the north. We call that Dew, which is Dale, Erebor, and Woodland Realm, and it's worth 5 victory points. Quite significant.
Right.
So I guess Eric is doing Grand,
Hammer of the Underworld.
Yeah.
Love Grand.
Yeah, I can't quite tell what. Oh, is that a Deadly Strife? Wow. Okay, so Deadly Strife. That is definitely 2 1s. All right, 3 1s. All right, so no hits at all. Braun just completely decimated Woodland Realm. 2 victory points for Shadow. And then Bob gets to redraw a strategy card because of the Witch King's ability. So the Witch King, I guess, is in Woodland Realm. Though I don't actually see the Witch King. Maybe it's a little hard to tell on the screen. Do you think that the Witch King is in Woodland Realm?
I think that's the only way he would have been able to draw that card. So the answer is, he must have.
Sounds good.
Yeah, when he mustered him, he put him.
That's what
there.
he mustered. That's what I see it now. Yeah, it's just near the bottom of the army. You're right.
Right.
So that's what he mustered in there. That was smart. Okay, Fellowship moved a 3rd time, and that 3rd move is often a crucial one because that is the one that puts you right where Moria is.
Right,
Go ahead.
And that's the 3rd move overall. First move for this round, right?
Yes,
and you got to try to get through Moria and not get caught there because bad things happen when the Fellowship is caught in Moria.
And that was actually a reinforcement card. That was Half-Orcs and Goblin Men. We got a Warg up in Woodland Realm, and it looks like Woodland Realm is going to be prepared to continue on to Dale, which will put the North to war if Bob decides to attack Dale at some point. That will put them to war. And the tricky thing about the action tokens is that if he waits until the... All right, so Dale gets attacked right away. If he had waited, the action tokens could have sort of snuck in there. The action tokens. Oh, wow, a lot of hits.
That's a big amount of hits.
All right. So the North, the elves and the North have not been putting up much of a fight against that Shadow army.
So, good time to remind everybody that every one of the strongholds on Middle-earth are worth 2 victory points, and every one of the cities are worth 1 victory point. So now Bob
Bob,
has 3 victory points for holding the Woodland Realm and Dale.
And we can see now, Slick Rick is using his musters to get a unit in Carrick. Now that the North has also been put to war by the capture of Dale.
Right.
So that unit could cause some trouble if left unchecked. One unit by itself won't matter, but the Northern reinforcement pool is quite large, and he could, over time, Rick could get quite a few. Eric could get quite a few units there.
Again, with my 3 volunteers, no.
All right, Bob allocated 1 eye, did not roll any more, continues to roll quite a few Palantirs. I see 3 Palantirs there, probably more than he wants, but still is getting a reasonable selection of dice.
Right.
I noticed that Rick rolled a that's funny. Rolled a character die and a Will of the West.
Yeah,
so
that's very significant.
If he can manage to kill off Gandalf this round, he can immediately bring him back into play as Gandalf the White.
Yeah,
so we'll see if he manages to do that.
Very standard thing. If the Fellowship is hunted successfully, even sometimes on only a 1 corruption roll, you will immediately kill Gandalf, who can absorb 3, just so you can resurrect Gandalf the White. And you need a Will of the West die, which is a wild die, and it's only a Will of the West die that will bring him back. And normally, you bring him back in Fanghorn Forest to really wreak havoc in Isengard.
Yep, no worries.
Yeah, and I love that aspect of War of the Ring.
Yes.
There are these mechanics in the game that reward the natural story play, but the players are really free to explore other what-if possibilities about what could happen. Right. So it's quite normal for Gandalf to show up in Fangorn because the end cards require Gandalf to be in play and for a companion to be in Fangorn, but you can send him elsewhere if you think it's a better strategy.
And
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
And break off Pippin or somebody like that. That's not quite as interesting, and leave him in Fanghorn. Why not? Thematically, he was there, and he'll wreak havoc with the Ents.
Yes. Yeah. So it looks like I'm not sure who is thinking at the moment. Rick could pass because he has fewer action dice, but maybe he's thinking sort of proactively to try and anticipate what's going to... I don't know. I really am not sure what the... okay, so Rick is thinking if he's going to pass or if he's going to act. I guess he's not that happy with only a single eye in the hunt pool because the chances of Gandalf being able to be lost to the corruption is relatively low because Bob can only hit him on a 6, even if he moves that one time. So it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Okay, all right.
You brought up the thematic nature of this game, and I am a huge Tolkien nerd, and so besides the amazing gameplay in general, the way that you immerse yourself in the world is so incredible, and that's why it is my #1 game by far.
For you too. Oh, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
And there's so many games out there, but I think the depth and the depth of the strategy and the tactics. Oh, so we just heard the pass. So all that thinking just to pass, he said. Yeah. Sometimes you have to think it through. I'm actually a little surprised. I'm not sure. Both of these players I know from the online community, and they tend to be pretty fast players.
Yep.
So I was a little surprised exactly what Rick was thinking about. I'd be curious to ask him later. Maybe he can comment. If you ever watch this, comment. What were you thinking about right there? We want to know. Whoa! What?
He's killing Gandalf.
No way.
He's breaking them off.
Separating? No, what? I cannot believe this is happening. I really can't. So he must have something like either Fearfire Foes, which lets him move companions using a muster die, which he has, or maybe Book of Mazarbul, which will also let him move. So this is a situation, that would be my prediction. I guess I'm not sure, but that would be my prediction. This is a situation where these companions are going to get to move 6 regions because Gandalf or Strider are both level 3, and he has 3 movement built up from the previous movement of the Fellowship. So they've all gone to Dimral Dale. That is an absolutely shocking move to me.
Except for who did he bring into Isengard? Orthanc.
That's Saruman.
Okay, so he did not. I thought he placed somebody there. No, he just counted down to there. Okay.
Yeah, right. He was. Yeah, because when they separate, they all have to go together.
Right.
So when you first separate, they all go together, and then if he moves them again, then they're gonna be able to split up, and we'll expect to see. We're gonna expect to see Strider and Boromir heading down to Minas Tirith, and we're gonna expect to see Gandalf just turning into Gandalf the White. So that is a very, very rare situation that you would ever choose to separate Gandalf instead of just letting him die. So that's an absolutely bold move. I've never like.
Why do you think he didn't wait one more movement so that he'd have Gandalf sitting already in Fanghorn? But maybe that's not necessary. I guess he's going to kill off. No, I guess he's not even going to kill off Gandalf. That's not going to even happen.
That's right. He didn't kill off Gandalf. It's amazing. Gandalf Grey.
Yeah.
Simply decided
to leave.
I'm going to leave the Fellowship. That's it.
So nobody is going to be, well, he might kill him off later somehow and drop somebody in Fanghorn separately, maybe, or maybe not, or maybe that strategy isn't even part of his calculus.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he definitely does not want Gandalf the White to die, because at this point, if Gandalf the White dies, he will lose an action die. So he just got his 5th action die. And I guess the calculation was, I don't think that Gandalf is going to be able to be killed through normal Fellowship movement, because I only have 1 character die, and Shadow only has 1 eye. So I'm just I want to take the guaranteed, the guaranteed extra die right now with the Will of the West. I'm not sure if you saw, but Bob just used another reinforcement card, Ulug High, to get another elite unit in Dale. And that's very interesting to me. Okay, so he's coming back. He's coming back to Old Forest Road to take care of that unit in Carrick, because he just doesn't want that to build up too much, because we can see that the Free Peoples are going more towards a military strategy. The Fellowship was doing very well, 3 safe movements. He had the Will of the West showing, and he decided to just go for extra military power. He's bringing in preparation for that attack. Eric is bringing in another elite in Carrick.
So
Bob is going for the attack.
This is a really interesting concept. You just said that you believe that Eric and the Free Peoples are going on a military strategy. Now, it is a very, very infrequent thing that the Free Peoples win militarily. Wouldn't you say so?
5%.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very rare victory condition.
Right.
The most rare victory condition. I will say that it takes a level of sort of mental willingness to go for it. So the fact that mental fortitude for the player to be willing to say, I'm leaving Frodo to his own devices, I'm going to bring out this military power. These 4 companions got separated from the Fellowship. I mean, Gandalf the Grey almost never gets separated from the Fellowship. I can't remember the last game.
Right, until he dies, of course.
Right, sure. He dies to soak up corruption, but never do you choose to have him leave by using a character die. So I think this just shows a level of commitment that Rick is making, that Slick Rick is making to just go for it.
Right. Now, Strider,
and Bob is reacting.
Now, Strider, you would often break off and run him down to either Pelargir, Minas Tirith, or Dol Amroth to try to make him become the king, Aragorn, and of course then get your 6th action die. But yeah, breaking off Gandalf, bizarre, but you know, these players are playing at a whole nother level than poor me. So I can't wait to see how this works.
That was interesting. I'm not exactly sure why Bob re-rolled 4 dice there. It seems like he played Dread and Despair, and you actually have to forfeit at least 1. So I would have expected to see only 3 re-rolls because he has the Witch King. He has a Warg, Witch King for 2 leadership, Witch King for 2 leadership, Warg for 1 leadership, and a Nazgul for the 4th leadership.
Right.
So I would have expected only 3 rerolls. Maybe there was something I missed there. Maybe there's another Nazgul in that battle, or it was just a minor rules mistake. That can happen. So what happened there was those units in Carrick are just causing trouble and wasting time for Shadow. So Shadow is moving them around. He's already spent basically 3 actions. 1 to move from Dale to Old Forest Road, 1 to attack Carrick, another to attack, is that Withered Heath? I mean, I don't even remember what
Nobody ever goes there.
When do you ever go up there, right? Like, that's amazing. I think it might be Withered Heath, but let me double check. Yep. That's Northern Mirkwood. Withered Heath is to the east. So he moved into Northern Mirkwood and now has gone into Western Mirkwood. So those northern units are just wasting the military time of Shadow, and that's exactly what the military strategy is intended to do. So, you know, he's buying Frodo time. I don't think that he's giving up on the ring. He's just buying him a lot of time.
So now, having said biding him time, Eric is not moving the Fellowship as much as, you know, he could. He didn't have the dice right now, but he hasn't moved at all this round.
Yes, that's exactly right. Great point. And I think that's one of the wonderful tensions in War of the Ring. That's the elegance of the design, that there are 2 different competing victory conditions, and of course asymmetric between the players. Right. So the fact that Slick Rick decided to focus more on the military side meant that the Fellowship was not making as much progress. But he now is going to have 5 dice moving on. So we'll see what happens in the future.
So what do you think about the fact that Dol Guldur is completely open, of course? I mean, he had to do that to execute the Shadow. Bob had to do that. But, I mean, if Eric is on a military strategy, you would think that Lorien would, at some point, rush out and grab Dol Guldur.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think Bob probably recognized that risk, and that's why he went after those northern units to try and get them really subjugated. He didn't quite have enough attack actions to make that possible.
Let's go ahead and use this muster token
you know, he's gonna he brought in the Southrons and Easterlings, and you can see how much trouble Slick Rick is making because he has now brought the dwarves to war as well. So he's doing everything he can to really fight successfully up in the north there. He only rolled 1 muster this round, plus a Will of the West. I would expect that Will of the West to be used to crown Aragorn. But definitely he's been putting up a fight. That wasn't the ideal role for Slick Rick.
Is it the dwarves that are now at war and the elves
and the north? Yes.
And the north. So who is not at war right now for for everybody? Who are the 2 free? Gondor is not at war.
Correct. Gondor is 1 away from war, and then Rohan is 3 away
which is even more interesting because those are the two that most people focus on to get to war, because you see most of the war action normally in the south. But this game is not playing out normally. It's playing out in a much more interesting way than a usual game I've played.
I completely agree. Yeah, this is already an absolutely amazing game. I'll be really curious to see how Bob handles all the threats that... What? Did you just hear that? Field battle in Erebor. That is unbelievable. He's doing a field battle against that army that has no leadership. Mumakil, of course, and then advantageous position to counter it.
Oh, no, wait. Oh, because it's +1. So it's 2 hits. Okay, nice.
2 hits. That was huge. And we'll see. He gets a leadership reroll. Oh my gosh. That was so risky. And it did not pay off for the dwarves. So the dwarves just took 3 hits in Erebor against that fairly large army.
Wow. And he left his stronghold to go over to the Iron Hills, which he's conceding 2 victory points at the moment.
That is amazing. I can't believe what's going on. I can't believe it.
It's now 5 victory points for the Shadow. Now, of course, that doesn't mean they're going to keep them. 0, of course, for the Fellowship. But the dwarves are regrouping themselves, apparently, in the Iron Hills at the Lonely Mountain.
Yes, and I want to highlight how committed Rick is to this military activity, because he just used a Will of the West to muster in Iron Hills, when I would have been very tempted to try and crown Aragorn with that Will of the West, but he is just committed to pumping out as many military units on the board as he can in the north to try and just cause trouble for Shadow.
Yeah, he's at least 4 movement away from getting Strider down to Minas Tirith, though that could be probably made up with a card. So he would have been able to make it with another movement or something. But you're right, he is definitely committing to something militarily here.
Yeah, great point. It would have taken 2 extra dice. That's a really good point. So yeah, spending 3 dice to crown him does feel kind of expensive. All right, so we just saw that those few units from Carrick were dispatched by the Witch King's army up in northern Mirkwood, and then Bob chose to not move the army into northern Mirkwood. You don't actually have to move in after you attack. Usually you do, but in this case, he preferred to have the army in northern Mirkwood instead of western Mirkwood. So that little marker they have, that represents the army that you see on the left side of the screen.
Right.
It looks like it has about 5 hit points, something like that, plus the Witch King and a Nazgul.
I would say that is exactly right.
And Rick has mustered up a powerful 7 hit point army in Iron Hills. Very rare do I see a 7 hit point army from the Free Peoples in Iron Hills. It is not the most defensible location. It's not even a city. It's just a settlement. So I would expect that Bob is going to reposition his Witch King army from Western Mirkwood, probably into Woodland Realm, and then centralize them in Dale, and then probably take care of that army in Iron Hills. If he does not do anything to that army in Iron Hills, it definitely will continue to be a thorn in his side. So I think he will have to deal with it eventually.
He just rolled 2 hits.
The first time the Fellowship has been successfully hunted, and we'll see what tile Bob draws.
Okay.
An eye. That is absolutely not a tile that Rick wanted to see.
Legolas is the new leader. We are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 here.
All right. So go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
Yeah. To remind viewers and casual players, those eye tiles, they will count for the number of corruption that are in the in the hunt box, and they go back into the bag once the Fellowship hits Mordor, the Mordor track. So they are, as you said, Ira, they're not ones that you want to see come out at this time.
And then Mary, I believe, just...
Yeah, so that was really the wrong order of tiles. We saw an eye, which revealed the Fellowship through Moria, causing an extra tile draw. Because if you go through a Shadow Stronghold, they get Shadow gets to draw an extra tile. And then he drew a 3, which is the absolute worst tile you could for free people to draw. So definitely the Fellowship went from having 5 hit points and being hidden in Rivendell to now be completely exposed out in Parth Celebrant, or I guess they're in Dimril Dale. And revealed. Now the one saving grace for the free peoples is that Gollum is the guide. And Gollum is actually an extremely skillful guide for the Fellowship, ignoring all reveal icons on non-eye tiles. So there are many of those tiles still in the bag. There are 2 zeros with reveals. There are 2 1s with a reveal. There's a 2 tile with a reveal. So quite a few times I anticipate Gollum's ability will be helpful. And also Gollum has an ability that if the Fellowship is not revealed, Gollum can choose to reveal them and reduce corruption damage by 1. So in the end, Gollum can end up saving the Fellowship a lot of corruption as long as the free people have enough dice to continue making action, and that the Shadow military is going slow enough that they have the time to reveal.
It's a really good start.
So we are now seeing the bloody battle of Iron Hills, and why it's not usually best to put a bunch of your units in a kind of a not just a regular settlement. So Shadow just inflicted 4 damage, and free people only did 2 back. So these dwarves, while brave, are just not that effective at stopping the Witch King. So they did inflict 2 damage, so that's not bad. And there's still three regular units left. And it looks like in Dale we have only maybe 3 hit points left. Not that much. Yep. Shadow is getting spread kind of thin there.
Yeah, you'll notice that the dwarves retreated south, and Bob moved 1 unit into the Iron Hills just to cover the possibility of a recruitment there, of a not recruitment. What's the word?
No, that is exactly right.
Recruitment, or bringing in using muster. Sorry, recruitments are on cards, mustering are on dice. That's usually the difference there. So that's a good way of making sure that Eric doesn't come back and try to rebuild an army up there. But Eric has come back and just defeated the army that he left there. So there it goes.
Yeah. So basically, as far as I can tell, his strategy at this point is to move the Fellowship very slowly, once a turn, maybe twice, but probably once, and then use all of his other dice to just cause military problems for Shadow. So think how many actions Bob has taken to try and secure the Dale, Erebor, and Woodland Realm, and he has not yet secured it. Wow, using an Elven Ring to
using an Elven Ring.
Another dwarf. Holy cow, this is just an all-out military defense. It requires just a level of fortitude that I think many players, and probably not even me, would have. Like, the amount of resources he has spent to just cause trouble up there is amazing.
Huge. Yeah, I've never seen a game played out like this, and I certainly have never employed this strategy, so this is an amazing feat.
I am actually really surprised what just happened. I don't know why Bob just moved his full army to Withered Heath and completely leaving Dale, which is a very pleasant mustering point, completely leaving Dale undefended. I guess he's thinking, wow, I'll see where Rick attacks. If he attacks Erebor, I'll counterattack immediately from Withered Heath. If he attacks Dale, I'll counterattack immediately. He's sort of rearmed. Oh, you know what? I understand what happened. he only had a character die. And he had previously removed the Nazgul from that army in Withered Heath, so he couldn't actually use the character die to reposition from Withered Heath to Dale. And so he decided to reposition from Dale to Withered Heath because the Witch King was at risk because there were only 3 regulars.
Oh, okay.
So the Fellowship is revealed right now. It looks like Rick got 2 musters and 3 character dice. He does want to get another Will of the West at some point, sooner rather than later, to crown Aragorn and get the benefit of that 6th action die. But at the moment, at least, he's putting up quite a fight with those dwarves.
Start with 2 in Aragorn and 3 in
I really am just amazed by, I mean, he used a ring, he used a Will of the West. Rick has just put everything he had into the defense of the North. And you can see, even though Shadow has all 5 victory points right now, Bob is still spending a lot of time up there trying to really control that situation. And he doesn't have it under control yet.
So we're talking about Rick and the Free People's military actions a lot here, but let's talk about Bob and the Shadow. He hasn't. So he is obviously reacting a lot to what Rick is doing, but he hasn't almost created his own strategy of taking some of the victory points, and many of them are there in the South. He's almost ignored it. I don't want to say it that way, but there's very little Southern military movement, and that's what the Shadow is usually about.
Yeah, that's a great point. He definitely has reserved his southern armies for later. He can certainly use them at will when he's ready, and you can see he already did start to do a little bit. He moved from Golgoroth to Minas Morgul, and now we have that, I think, 10 power army in Minas Morgul prepared to start to do something. But I will say Bob is a very experienced Shadow player, and one of the typical guiding principles of Shadow is that you don't want to fight a war on too many fronts at once.
Yeah.
So I think Bob is employing that strategy here. He's making sure that that the northern area is entirely subjugated, and only then is he going to move on. You can see Rick just tried to take back Erebor, and we'll see what I anticipate that Bob is going to react to that. But I notice, interestingly, he only has 1 attack action this round. He does have the Elven Ring, which he can use, but I see he has 1, as far as I can tell, 1 muster, 3 Palantirs, and then 1 hybrid die. So he only has 1 attack left. We'll see what he does.
And there he goes.
No, I played A and I played
Attacking Erebor using a character die.
B is the one I
Cruel as Death to get a bonus attack. He's hitting on 4s.
Oh, that's big. 1, 2.
Only
hits.
2 hits.
Oh yeah. When I
Still
Get 3
gets
rerolls.
3 should only have 2 rerolls. No, still 3. Yeah,
Yep.
good.
So he hit, I believe that was 4 hits.
Not the most.
Oh, dwarves
Wow.
cannot fight at all. Just getting decimated.
Alright, we will retreat to the Withered Heath.
And there he goes. The dance continues.
Yes, and so this I think was was actually Rick's ploy, because now Rick still has 2 more attacks and 2 more musters, while Bob has no more attacks unless he uses up that precious Elven Ring. So I would expect to see Rick continue to attack. He's going to go probably into Woodland Realm, which is very weakly defended. Another possibility is for him to go back to Carrick, free it, and then start mustering in Carrick. He has a couple of good options.
Character die. Move this little army right there.
Aha, okay. Northern Mirkwood is seeing the most action it has ever seen in any game of
War of the
Ring.
Ring finals right now. Absolutely.
The dwarves are having an adventure already.
You know, I like to point out the camaraderie here at this table, and it really goes throughout the World Series of Board Gaming. You just see people with just great sportsmanship mannerism, and that just makes this an event unlike any other.
Okay.
Yeah, they're definitely having a good time. They know each other. They played together many times before, and it's just so fun to get to play this great game.
Yeah.
So he was able to Slick Rick was able to recapture that without any contest, and now he has 2 muster dice. And I believe that he foresaw that all the way from the very beginning of the turn, because he moved out of Iron Hills before mustering anymore, and I anticipate that he did not have any more Dwarven elites. And so he's just causing trouble. And the northern reinforcement pool is large. There are many units that he's going to be able to muster there.
So it looks like his strategy is just to continue mustering both the North and the Dwarves as he can, combine armies, and just keep causing problems up there for the Shadow Military.
Am I seeing things, or is there what else is there in Carrick? Oh, I see. He mustered a leader. He wanted more leadership there. Okay.
Yep. There is more men of the North showing up in Carrick.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you were correct.
Now he has 2 leadership up there, and I will note that Carrick is only 3 regions away from Dimril Dale. So it's quite possible that companions at some point could head up, especially Gandalf, I would expect, could absolutely head up toward Carrick. And the one thing that interesting. So I'm noticing that Bob is still allocating 1 eye, or we'll see. He doesn't have to allocate an eye, but obviously the risk of allocating no eyes is that the Fellowship could move really fast.
Right.
I'll be curious to see. He just said 0 or 1 eyes. We'll see.
Eric is taunting him. He said, "I'm revealed." Just not taunting, but he's actually saying, "Well, remember, I am revealed, so see what you want to do." Oh, he allocated no eyes to the hunt pool, the hunt box, and he got 2 though.
And I think that's the right strategy when the Free People are making such military actions, and the Fellowship really has not been making that much progress. You can sort of give a little and focus instead more on military. Rick got a beautiful roll there. He would like a Will of the West. He's not gotten that, but otherwise very nice roll with 3 musters, 1 movement, and 1 Palantir.
You know, Eric, the way that the camera is angled and the way he holds his cards, I actually could see a little bit of his hand, which is obviously not Bob. He can't see it, but we can see it. And I've noticed he has 2 of the special tile cards in his hand. He hasn't played either one. When I get those cards in a game and I'm playing the Free Peoples, I absolutely play those special tiles that end up going into the hunt bag once the Fellowship gets to Mordor. But in this case, I think he's not even anticipating getting there, or if he does, it's so late in the game, he's not caring very much about playing those cards with those tiles on them.
Yeah, it's a great point. Those are extremely powerful cards.
Yeah.
They can absolutely help the Fellowship in Mordor, but it's probably not his highest priority, given the location of the Fellowship. And I think one really interesting strategic element of War of the Ring is the hand management, because you have a 6-card hand limit, so you can't just hold them forever. There is some opportunity cost with that, but you can wait for the right moment. You can really plan ahead for it. And so he does have a Palantir there. Maybe he'll get one out of his hand, but we'll see. Mustering. Okay, so Bob is mustering in Dol Goldor just to be prepared for any attack that could easily come his way from Carrick. It's also quite possible that Carrick could head up to Mount Gundabad. That's only 2 regions away. Carrick to Eagles Eyrie, and then Eagles Eyrie to Mount Gundabad.
And he
That is a very common task.
Bob just mustered there as well, so he's making sure that he can fortify that against that relatively large army in Carrick.
Yeah. I'll also note that a while ago, Bob did use a half movement to move an orc from Moria into Dimril Dale. And it's a little hard to see, but Dimril Dale is where the action is because there are four companions there. It's the last known position of the Fellowship, and there's a Nazgul and an orc there. So if at some point the Fellowship decides to move, they will absolutely have some rerolls against them. But I'll note that the elves are at war. So it would not be that hard for the elves of Lorien to muster up and then attack into Dimril Dale and be reconnected with some important companions: Gandalf, Boromir, Strider, and I think Pippin is there with them too.
One of the one of them.
One of the hobbits, yeah.
One of the hobbits.
And I don't think we called it out at the time, but when the Fellowship moved through Moria and got the extra tile that was a 3, Legolas perished to protect Frodo, but then Pippin, or Merry, we'll call him Pippin for now, was able to, oh no, it was Merry. I think it was Merry. Merry was able to use his guide ability, separating from the Fellowship to reduce corruption by 1, and ended up in Parth Celebrant. So we're seeing Merry and Parth Celebrant, which is very convenient because with a single movement, Merry will be able to get to Fangorn, which activates the Ents, which will allow the Ent cards to be played. So Rick is really keeping his companions in thoughtful places, very flexible in the center of the board. And we just saw that he mustered Gondor to war the hard way using a muster action. And now Gondor is going to be able to muster up and get that force pool going.
Only Rohan is sitting on their hands right now from a war perspective.
Absolutely. And that's I think, a very intentional strategic choice on the part of Rick, because if you get all 5 Free People nations to war, then Shadow can get the Mouth of Sauron, which is their 10th action die. And I think Rick would prefer to not give that to Bob freely. Let Bob waste his time and attack into Rohan if he wants that 10th action die.
It looks like he's attacking Karok.
I think the army is merging up. He merged up the extra units from Dol Guldur.
Okay.
They moved into Old Forest Road, and now Carrick is could be attacked.
Right. Now it's a substantial army now. It's got a very big leadership sitting there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got 6 leadership.
And I will say, we continue to see the benefits of Rick's strategy in that Bob is devoting many, many action dice to muster more in Dol Guldur, to reinforce in Old Forest Road, to come and attack Carrick. He's really taking the focus away from Frodo. So at any point, Rick can choose to switch and start moving the Fellowship. He hasn't been choosing that yet, but he might at some point. All right, Carrick is being attacked. Character card being played, very interesting. Scouts. That's the first Scouts of the game. And that's a huge card for the Free Peoples because it lets them retreat their army without taking any casualties at all. So he has a lot of freedom now to decide where he's going to go. I think he might go for Mount Gundabad. We'll see.
No, I think he's going to Wuthering Heights or whatever that northern.
Okay, you think Northern Mirkwood?
That's my guess. I don't think he's ready to go to Gundabad. You know, he's got so many ripe targets up here that he might. I think he's staying up here. Well, let's see. He's smarter than me. Okay, he is staying here, but he's in in Old Forest Road?
Rosgabel. That's Rosgabel. Or
Probably never had an army.
Who? What?
RHOS Gobel. Correct their pronunciation if it's wrong.
Yeah.
Looks like Rosgabel to me. The thing about Scouts that's so significant is that it allows the Free People's Army to make that full retreat right now, and now it's Rick's turn. So he's going to get to move that army again immediately, getting away from the Witch King. And so I think
there
he's
he
going to
goes.
go to Northern Anduin Vale. Yeah, North Anduin Vale, which is threatening Dol Guldur, and amazingly, Dol Guldur has no units in it. And this is the trickiness of Scouts. It's just hard to foresee. Oh my gosh, and he's taking Dol Guldur. He's taking Dol Guldur for free. I anticipate that Rick is using a ring. Yeah. To get in there, look at that army. That is just a gigantic army. Into Dol Guldur. Very, very well defended Dol Guldur. And now he gets another army movement. Let's see what he does.
And just for the record, that is 2 victory points of the only 4 needed by the Free Peoples for a military win, while, of course, the Shadow needs 10 victory points to win it militarily.
It's like that sailor Martin.
Yeah, and I think Bob's going to have trouble.
All right, what do we got here?
All right, so Bob decided to attack immediately using his ring because he didn't want companions to be able to get in there.
Now, am I correct here? If I take a dwarf, do I put him back in my reinforcements?
You go back in your reinforcements. He does go back in your reinforcement.
This guy right here. This guy.
Any excess goes into
He's asking a minor rules question.
One dwarf right here.
Yeah, so the dwarf reinforcement pool had previously been empty, but now he was able to reclaim that dwarf. That's an interesting choice.
You might as well have a dwarf in case you need to recruit again.
And I will note that Rick really timed that perfectly, because at the moment he executed that Scouts maneuver, Bob had no muster dice left.
Wow.
And so Bob was forced with a choice between either using a ring to get a single elite into Dol Guldur, which would not have withstood the attack, or just to remaneuver the army back. And quite honestly, I don't think that army from Old Forest Road is big enough to retake Dol Guldur. But at least the 5 points in Dale Erebor and Woodland Realm have now been captured, right? There are no, we don't see any blue units up there. So definitely no eyes.
He did not place any eyes in the box.
4 eyes.
But he rolled 4 eyes. This is not good for the Shadow at this point. He doesn't want to roll 4 eyes when Eric, the Free People, are not moving, essentially, the Fellowship.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And statistically, over time, it's not unreasonable. Let's see what he's doing with his character die.
I will go alone. Separate.
I will
go companions and move them one
you
extra
don't have any companions.
Yeah, that's actually...
Oh, you cannot play that card. That's right.
from
Yeah.
one.
You need at least a companion. Yeah, that is one card that doesn't let him move. That's
Right.
one of the few cards that doesn't let him move existing companions.
It's a great card, and it went right when you're about to separate. But he had already separated all the companions from the Fellowship. The only members of the Fellowship right now are the combined mini of Sam and Frodo, and of course Gollum being the guide of the Fellowship.
Right. What I was saying earlier about the eyes, statistically, when you play a military game as Free People, the game tends to last many more turns. And that allows for these random chances sometime during the game. It's not crazy that Shadow's going to roll 4 eyes. Obviously, on this particular turn, it's unlikely, but over the course of a full game, that might happen. And then if you can capitalize on it, that's a real opportunity. So interestingly, we see that that orc, I guess, at one point had retreated back to Moria, and we're just seeing character movement now. Let's see where Gandalf's going to go.
So who did he move there into? That's Westermont.
Yes, that's Eastermont. Yeah, and Strider and Boromir are on their way to
Okay.
crown Aragorn, because he does have a Will of the West this round.
Oh, there you go.
And we also see that I guess Merry made his way into Fangorn. Okay, so interestingly, Boromir is staying in Lorien, because I think that. Oh, okay. The unit is still in Dimmerodale. I wasn't sure. The orc is still in Dimmerodale. Boromir and a hobbit are going, and I guess Gandalf also. Everybody went into Lorien, so we would expect
Except the
that
Fellowship, of course, because they are not
Yeah.
with. They looked like they were with the other characters, but they're not. They
Yeah.
are separated. That's why there's so
Right.
many figures on the board for all of the characters from the original Fellowship.
Yeah, which just makes for a more interesting game to have
Yeah.
all of these pieces on the board. So it'll be interesting to see how much effort Bob puts into taking care of Dol Guldur. I don't think that army is big enough to take care of the army holed up in there, but we can see that Bob is proactively mustering in North Dunland, which is adjacent to Moria. So that is a very effective way for Shadow to defend Moria. I think that's a very foresightful. And I'll note that Bob only had one muster that round. So if Rick could go after Moria this round, that would be great. But he just doesn't have quite enough manpower in Lorien to do it this round.
Right.
So I think he's planning to do it the following round. And the other thing that I'll note is there's really a multifaceted benefit of mustering that elite in North Dunland, because I note that Bob only, well, I can't tell if that's an army die or a character die, but the warg counts as a leader while Saruman is in play.
Right.
So then he will be able to. Okay. So that was a very significant play. Day Without Dawn was just played, which gets rid of the Will of the West. So Aragorn maybe could have been crowned, but in fact was not crowned.
Yeah, that is the single harshest card in the Shadow deck for the Free Peoples when they have rolled one or more Will of the Wests. It's simply the Shadow spends one of their dice, and the Free People get rid of all of their wild cards, their Wills of the West, which are so big for the general die, of course, it's because it's wild, but it's also huge to crown Aragorn or bring back Gandalf as the White. So that's a big thing right there.
Absolutely. And I think that there is a small silver lining for the Free People, which is there's only one copy of that card in the deck.
Yeah.
So once it gets used, now Eric is going to be able to delay as long as he wants with those Wills of the West.
Yep.
And wait for the right moment to play it. But that was certainly a well-timed,
Yes.
very well-timed Will of the West.
Yeah. So what round of play do you think this is? I tried to keep track early. I think it's the 5th round. Would you say that's right?
Yeah, or maybe 6th. I
Yeah,
mean,
maybe.
It's going long.
We're only about an hour in, which is not bad at all, really, especially for a tournament game where, you could want to think that it's going to go longer because of a little more thinking. But I noticed that we're under an hour right now of gameplay.
Yeah, I think Bob is attacking into Dol Guldur, is what I believe is happening. He's playing a character card. I would expect probably something like Dread and Despair. I'm going to go ahead and predict Candles of Corpses as the specific card that is being played, just for the fun of it.
I think that was played already.
Okay.
I think I saw Candles of Corpses on the table
Fair enough.
already.
All right, so that's good to know. I guess we'll see what gets played, and I guess Rick is just trying to figure out
Is he going to play a
how
card
defensive.
or not?
How defensive do I need to be against this? Because it's not that big of an army. It's decent, but not huge. We did see the move Moranon to Dagorlad, and now that puts that Dagorlad army within 3 movements of Dol Guldur. So it may be the case that is going to come reinforce Dol Guldur if needed.
Right. I'm going to reiterate that the South He's got no armies. Bob has no shadow armies at all, essentially, in Mordor. Or does he?
Pretty good. No, he still has.
He's got that Minas Morgul army. How big is that? Is that over here on the
10.
left side?
Yes. That's a big army.
Okay, that's his big army. Okay. So he's still biding time in the south.
All right. So you got 4 on me. I'll take 1 on my hero deck.
So Bob just got 4 hits, which is a huge result. And it looks like
So I'm gonna take.
Eric played There's Another Way, which is a heroic death. So he's losing 1 leader, an elite, and then downgrading. That was a great result for Bob, and I will say my prediction was wrong. He played Foul Thing from the Deep, which gave him +1 on his leadership reroll, allowing him to get some extra hits.
Good time to remind the casual players of the game, or new players for that matter, that with the free peoples, every unit that is lost for the entire game. With the shadow, it's like crunch away, we'll make more. The number of army units are unlimited on the shadow side. It's a huge advantage for the military.
It really allows Shadow to play the long game. In the end, you either have to destroy the ring or get pretty lucky with the military. And so far, I will say I do not feel like Rick has had the better end of the luck in the combats. They've been very bloody combats, which tends to favor Shadow. It seems like Bob is just not in a huge rush. He has reinforced Moria quite well with the units from Northumberland, and then furthermore with Shadows on the Misty Mountain card. And that just makes Moria very hard to take. We did see that Rick was powering up Lorien. Maybe that's going to come help Dol Guldur, but it's definitely looking like a tough situation for free people. The Fellowship has not been making progress. No eyes allocated again.
Sorry, I
don't
3 rolls.
Fellowship again. My dice really want you to do that.
He just made a joke. He said, "My dice really want you to move the Fellowship."
Yeah.
Okay, but there is no. Well, yeah, I better.
So Rick did get a Will of the West, so he will be able to crown Aragorn now. It's quite late, turn 6 or 7, but better late than never. I will also note that Strider, soon to be Aragorn, is in Pelargir, which is a somewhat risky location if those army units from Far Harad and Near Harad, or maybe even Umbar, move into West Harondor and be prepared to attack. What?
What's he doing?
He's playing We Prove the Swifter, moving Gandalf in to Dol Guldur, nullifying all the leadership of the Witch King. I think that is a level of boldness.
That's what counts.
A level of boldness that, like, over and over, Rick is doing everything he can to maintain his military advantage. That's just incredible. I just really like Gandalf's gonna die in there. How are you sending him into his death? You lose a whole action die.
So
that's amazing.
So he only moved Gandalf into Dol Guldur? Only Gandalf.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe he's going to bring a Hobbit with him. It wouldn't be crazy to bring a Hobbit to turn on. All right, he did bring a Hobbit. So Pippin and Gandalf are now in Dol Guldur.
So this is he has the army itself is relatively small. It's looks like it's 4 regulars. Is that correct? Plus a leader, and then Gandalf and one of the hobbits.
Yes, one regular.
And he's going against a much larger army, so he doesn't look like he's about to attack.
The army in Dol Guldur is not actually that huge. If you look up, it's the top box. It looks to me like maybe 4 units, 2 elites and 2 regulars. But the thing is, there were six Nazgul leadership there.
Yep.
That is entirely nullified by Gandalf the White.
That's amazing.
So he's just shining his staff, and it's just turning off the Nazgul. So it definitely will make it harder for Bob to take that. I don't think it would stop him entirely. He could move that army from Dagorlad, those 5 regulars from Dagorlad up into Dol Guldur, and just take care of that army. It is the case that Aragorn will get crowned, but if I were Bob, I would also be tempted to just threaten Aragorn in Pelargir, because Aragorn needs to get crowned and then get out of there. I'm actually a little surprised that when Rick moved Aragorn from Eastamnet, he chose to send him to Pelargir instead of Minas Tirith. Minas Tirith is a little more defensible of a location, though I guess he was worried about getting holed up in the siege. So I guess we'll see. All right, coming out of Moria.
Okay.
Leaving one behind in Moria. And I mean, that elven army in Lorien is quite buff. So that's like 9 hit points of units plus. Maybe Boromir. Did Boromir come with Gandalf? I can't tell. It might make sense for Boromir to have come, or maybe Boromir stayed in Lorien. I can't tell.
It looks like one of the hobbits because it's a small figure.
Okay, a small figure in Dol Guldur, you think?
Yep, I think so.
Okay, so Boromir is in Lorien. And now we just saw that Aragorn got crowned.
So he retrieves his 6th and last action die. He can't use it this round, of course, but it goes into his pool for the next round.
So you didn't leave anybody left in the deal except for
No, just one Nazgul.
one Nazgul. Okay.
All right, so that one orc that had been patrolling for the Fellowship for many, many rounds has now given up on the patrol. Only a Nazgul is left in Dimril Dale to harass the Fellowship.
With my 3 dice.
Oh my gosh, he just passed with Aragorn. Aragorn is at risk in Pelargir. I'm very surprised he didn't use that muster die in Pelargir. I would think that means Rick has a scouts in hand. All right, so we see a giant army having been reformed in Dol Guldur. And maybe now is the time. Maybe now is the moment for that army out of Lorien to come strike at Moria.
I'm going to use a token here to draw a card. I think I'm gonna
Okay, so this is another advantage of the tokens because it gives Slick Rick some tempo advantage. He knows he's going to get to see what Bob does. Fighting Uruk-hai.
So you do get to play a card first turn because
Fighting Uruk-hai in Dol Guldur.
Gandalf 100% will be fine. You got what, 1 reroll?
yeah, just one.
You remember I was able to look into Rick's hand before, and I noticed he had the special tile cards. Guess what? He's discarded those cards, so fully committing to not dunking the ring at this point.
Doesn't actually work because you have Gandalf shining. You
Okay.
still need the leadership of all the companions.
So this is an important rules clarification. Slick Rick is trying to play a Daring Defiance. Because Gandalf is shining, Gandalf has already forfeited his leadership, and therefore you cannot forfeit his leadership again. Bob is absolutely correct. In a casual game, I don't know exactly what to do. In a tournament game, I'm assuming that's still going to play. He can legally play the card, because to play the card, you just need a companion in the battle. And there is some moments, there is a single time where that's useful, which is if Shadow has played Swarm of Bats. It will properly stop Swarm of Bats, because it is a card. But the actual effect of Daring Defiance, if Gandalf has already given up his leadership, is that you can't use Daring Defiance, unfortunately.
Yeah. Again, for people who don't have as much experience, when you use the word shining, Gandalf is
Oh, yeah.
shining. What does that mean?
Sorry. Yeah,
No
I should
problem.
clarify. So when you spend a Will of the West to get Gandalf the White, he has a very powerful ability, and that ability says
we got a rules question that's
Gandalf the
not
White
listed in the rules.
may choose to
so
shine. I think it
Gandalf
might say that on the
and
card, but
Hobbit are
thematically,
expected
what's happening is
from
he's lighting up his staff.
Lighting up the
You
staff.
have that,
Yep.
that memorable moment
Trying to play Daring Defiance.
in around Minas
what I read in
Tirith,
the almanac is that Daring
and
Defiance is not
you
playable.
basically
You need to be able to forfeit
nullify Nazgul
And since
leadership.
Gandalf is
Right.
already
Is what's
doing
happening.
that, is
So
Daring
he's
Defiance is you forfeit
you can see
leadership
there's the
quality.
Witch King,
So
and then
can I
4
play
other
that against
Nazgul
Gandalf
in this battle.
Shining.
I don't get a discount.
Which is a huge amount of leadership, as you said. So if he can
Yeah.
use this at this time, it's going to be a very big play for Bob.
Well, and in fact, that's why he sent Gandalf the White in. He saw
pull it
that
up for you,
that
but
Bob had that much leadership there. There wasn't an easy way to get more leadership there, other than maybe a warg, a single goblin rider, and then otherwise he's not going to have many rerolls.
Yeah.
So it is important that they get this right. I'm glad they're double checking it, but it is absolutely correct.
Yeah, so the judges right now are off on the side, and they're discussing it, making sure they get the ruling right. I think that they're actually reaching out to one of the rules people who maintain all of the rules online and who literally go through, and as people ask questions, they make sure that they give them the right ruling. So I think that's what's happening right now. And of course, at this point in the game, you in a tournament environment in general, you need to get the rules right, even these corner cases.
And this might be a nice moment to highlight this online community. So
Absolutely, do that.
There's a Discord community with 4,000 players, and you can really find a game almost any time of day or night, and they track. I'm part of this community. We track sort of ratings in a sort of chess-style rating system.
Nice.
And there are leagues that run, there are tournaments that run. So if you are watching this video at 1 hour or into it, you should definitely come join our. You are the right person to join our community if you are not already part of it, because you can play War of the Ring peer-to-peer. There's no official way of doing that, but there are ways for people to connect and play remotely, which is certainly a way that I play a lot, and other people play. That's just a great way of building the community, being part of the community, and really playing at the highest levels. And I'll just note, just at the moment, I don't know at the time they played what they were rated, but I'm going to check for you. So Romp Steel, that's Bob's rating. He is currently 15th in the world, 15th best, highest rating in the world.
Nice.
And Slick Rick, I will check, is currently rated 119th in the world. So he is still up there.
Right.
We have about 1,000 players who have played at least one rated game, and about 350 active players. So that's where they are.
There's no doubt that if you have exactly 1,000 players that are ranked, I would be ranked 1,001. I want to point that out right now.
No way.
I would be ranked 1,000. I'm a good casual player. Ira, maybe it's a good time to ask how many. I have played approximately, I'm going to make a number up, but I'll make it approximately 50 to 60 games, in person always, of War of the Ring. How many games have you played?
I have not.
It's going to be a 3-digit number, I guarantee it.
I have not tracked all of my games.
I've
played
give it a
many
shot.
In person. The rating system that we've been tracking for years and years and years shows that I've played 290 games
And that's
in the rating system.
Add another 100 in person?
Yeah.
There you go. 400 games.
And both of these guys play a lot. So Bob has played 790 games
Nice.
rated, and Slick Rick, I will say, he has played 208 games rated. So these guys are experienced players.
Right.
So I'm not sure. It looks like they took back the card. which is actually a little generous because technically it is actually legal to play that card and it would cancel Swarm of Bats. But that was a nice thing to do. Slick Rick did not realize it wouldn't have any effect.
Right.
So they're letting him take it back. So
Right. If you're not playing it the way you thought the card is played, it's fair to at least ask. And these players are trying to win it completely honorably. He could have said no, card played, that's it. But again, sportsmanship here at the World Series of Board Gaming is extremely high. So this is a good example of that.
Absolutely. And this is a very crucial battle because I think that Bob should be able to win it. He has played Fighting Urukai, so he has 3 rounds to do it. But
what's involved in
we're listening
from my
to
point of view is that you have leadership, and then you take a portion of that leadership away, but you still have leadership left. However, the card specifically, according to this rule editor, is a little bit of a unique situation, and they're ruling that if you've already sacrificed leadership, you didn't continue to sacrifice all of your leadership. So the ruling is going to be that you can't, that the card has no effect.
Makes sense.
That's the correct rule.
I'm
glad they got that right.
Card back in hand, or is it?
Yeah, you play. Well, at least.
That's what we usually get left.
The judges rule. Yeah. The etiquette, anyways, that usually you get the card back in hand.
Oh, there you
Where
go.
did that card go? It was
Again, that's
Very
the
nice.
official, okay, sure,
Really
you take
nice.
the card back.
much appreciated.
That is honorable.
Yeah.
That's very honorable of Bob. Okay, so he's going to roll the attack. He needs some 6s. 1
needs-
6.
right.
There's only 1 reroll, so he got 1 6. That's about what you expect. He rolled 6 dice. He got 1 6. All right. There's. All right, so that was big. That was 3 hits. They definitely needed that. All right, so this is going to be a 3-round combat. This combat's going to last for 3 rounds, and you can see how many hit points he has in there. Bob has, as far as I can tell, 11 hit points. We come to kill.
It didn't matter.
Completely
in the end.
misses.
It didn't matter.
So he had 5
Oh, good
elites,
lord.
and all of them missed on the We Come to Kill effect.
Oh my goodness.
So we're now on to round 2. It's still not looking good. I still would expect that Gandalf will be dead at the end of this. But Bob's going to play a card for sure. Rick's going to play a card for sure.
Critical battle.
Brave stand. Companion
What is
15
that?
battle.
A brave stance and a deadly strife.
Just
Okay, so he got 1 hit.
hitting on 2.
These are all going to hit. So 3 back. So far, the exchange of casualties has been 6 damage done. 6 damage done to the Shadow Army and 2 damage done to the Free People. I will say a huge impact that Gandalf is having. But I don't think it's going to be enough because there are only 2 hit points left.
I can't even imagine him withstanding this onslaught at this point.
Devilry of Orthanc, so these are going to hit on 5s. No hits! No hits!
Oh, 1 hit.
1 hit.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so that was lucky. So one of these are going to hit for sure. Okay, so that's 2 hits automatically. All right, so a single regular left. That was the 3rd round. I can't imagine that.
He's going to press. He's got to press.
Well, he has to take 2 hits first. So he's thinking about how he wants to take his 2 hits. I do think.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I just don't see how 1 unit can survive against 6 hit points.
Okay, he's taking his 2 hits by downgrading 2 of the
Is he gonna press?
of the elites, and now he has 1 more elite left. This is Bob in the shadow. He's not pressing.
He did not press.
Wow, not to finish him off.
Crazy turn of events.
So what's interesting here? What's interesting here is at the moment, Bob only has 1 more attack. He has 1 more attack and no rings. So if that army in Lorien can move to Dimrildale, then Dimrildale to Moria, and then take out Moria, and somehow Gandalf lives, then that's actually 4 victory points for the Free People.
That's right.
I don't know if Rick's going to go for it, but he does have the dice to do it. He's definitely thinking carefully about it. I wish that Boromir had been with Gandalf in Dol Guldur, because there would have been many more dice rolled, probably 6 more dice rolled, and the Brave Stand would have been even one more effective.
He went Lorien to Dimmeril Dale.
Yeah, that seems like the right play.
But why don't let's backtrack just a little bit. Why don't you think Bob in the shadow took back Dol Guldur completely? Why didn't you eliminate Gandalf? Just didn't need
He's going to. He's absolutely going to with his last die. He was just saving it because he didn't want to have to reduce that final elite unit.
Okay. So he'll just wait. I got you. He'll just wait and he'll do a regular attack, a field battle. Why not?
He'll do one more, no, into the siege, but he'll do one more attack with his final die. So he has one more action die to use that attack.
Moria.
Right, it's into a siege.
Moria is under siege.
Oh my goodness, here we go.
So Moria, Lorien is completely emptied. There are only 2 regulars. I'm guessing Great Host. I'm going to go with... It's always fun to guess. It's fun to guess.
Yeah, you know these
Gandalf
cards so
is
well.
going to die.
Deadly Strife.
Deadly
again.
Strife. Okay,
Again.
that'll do it. It did it. Okay, so Gandalf has died.
Oh my goodness, I would have been so
No hit back.
well, 1 hit back.
Okay, there he goes.
You're correct.
Gandalf
All right,
dies.
so Gandalf has died. That's a major blow.
He loses the action die permanently.
I'm gonna go ahead.
Yeah,
and,
that's right. But he did just gain one this round with Aragorn.
Right here.
So Aragorn has now. He's going to end up still at 5 dice. He lost 1, but he gained 1. But losing Gandalf the White's ability is quite significant, because that is just a very powerful defensive ability. Charging! Wow! 4 Elven elite units charging into Moria. Get out of here, orcs! Oh, and they go!
Oh my God!
All right, back
They
to
just annihilated.
You can.
They just annihilated Moria.
Balrog's weakness.
That's the Balrog's weakness, being charged by elves. Wow.
Correct.
What an attack. I mean, Rick is playing with such boldness that I just can't believe it, honestly. He's still at 2 victory points. He was 1 combat away from winning the whole game.
He would have won the game with one turn before that, 1 die before that, 1 action. Wow.
Well, sorry, for clarity, you do have until the end of the round. So for the military,
that's a
Bob
great
would have
point.
had his chance. He would have had his chance to retake Dol Guldur. But if Dol Guldur had held, and maybe it could have with slightly different dice or slightly different cards, then absolutely he would have just won. But,
Very good point. Military victory is checked at the end of a full round. That's exactly right.
Yeah. So this is another exciting round. We got 2 more eyes rolled, and it looks like Bob is still rolling quite a few Palantirs and only 1 muster. So the lack of musters can be tricky, and I do see only 1 single muster for the free people as well. So that is, sorry, not even any musters. No musters for the free peoples, but they do have a Will of the West. So it'll be interesting to see. Aragorn is at risk in Pelargir. I would expect that Aragorn might be moving.
I'm gonna start off by passing.
Okay, he's just so it's interesting. So he must have in his hand a Scouts card in case Pelargir's getting attacked. This could be a swarm of bats. I would think it's swarm of bats. Okay, no. So Bob did not have a swarm of bats.
It's a great host.
He got the great host. So I'm thinking Aragorn's going to go to Orthanc. I think he's got to go to Orthanc. Keep the hope alive. I mean, because that's a decent army. That is a decent army. Why did I say Orthanc? I meant
Minas Tirith or
Osgiliath.
Osgiliath.
Yeah. A region that starts with O. So that actually got him a free movement effectively, right? He wanted Aragorn there. Osgiliath is a very key location.
Okay.
Let's remember now that taking over Peligir is another victory point for the Shadow.
True.
So it's now officially 6-2 on the victory point military scale.
Yes. And you might have noticed that Lorien was completely vacated, but the card A Power Too Great was in play, which was protecting Lorien from any Shadow army moving into it.
Wow.
But Bob was able to get rid of it. The cost is pretty high. It requires 1 die of your choice, plus a character card and a strategy card that is an army result, which he showed. The fact that it was an army card specifically to Rick. So now Power Too Great is gone and Lorien is vulnerable. So that army in Dol Guldur could just march right back to Lorien and potentially take it. So this is a tense situation.
How big is the army right now in Moria?
The army in Moria, I think, really wants to stay in Moria to hold it. Because I'm assuming that Rick's military plan is going to be to maybe muster up. I guess I don't know where he's going to muster. We'll see.
Well, if you think about it, there's nothing really threatening Moria right now. If he moved that army out and took that back to Dol Guldur, plus any reinforcements he can bring in through Lorien, that certainly is a path to victory for him right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I will highlight there is a particular strategy card called Through a Day and a Night. And I think this is one of the things that I love about War of the Ring. You don't need to know the cards to play the game. You can absolutely play the game, look at the cards in your hand, and make decisions based purely on that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
And I love that about the game. But if you know every single card in the deck, in all 96 cards in the whole game, then you can sort of anticipate this could happen, this other thing could happen. And I'm going to highlight, there's a card called Through a Day and a Night, which lets you move an army with a companion in it 2 spaces, 2 squares. So, and it requires a Palantir. So when you're looking at something like Rick's dice and you see, okay, he has 3 attacks and 1 Palantir, that's not going to matter. But then he plays Through a Day and a Night. Suddenly, the Palantir is used to reposition an army and really be able to do effective things. So it may be, if I were Bob, I would have that card in my mind. And maybe Rick has it, maybe he doesn't. But I certainly see a Palantir there, and I certainly see armies with companions in it.
Yep.
So
Would you is that 2 elite units that he left in Moria?
it looks to me 2 elites and a regular is what I'm seeing there.
So 5-point army there essentially, and he
Pretty strong.
He moved, decent, definitely a great defensive army with nobody threatening him at all. I mean, there's no threatening Shadow anywhere near that. I would have even left, again, not being as good a player as these guys, I would have left even less there, maybe just 3 points, I don't know, and started to move this entire army into Dol Guldur to retake that. But I'm not as smart as they are.
I don't know. It's about smart. It's what I think about, experience. I will say the Dol Guldur has 5 hit points in it, so that's pretty well defended.
Sure.
But one of the advantages of the Free People military strategy is that you can wait to see where Shadow is putting most of their defenses, and then take some very aggressive actions and go for it. And particularly with the action tokens, it gives an advantage that normally Shadow has, which is the last action in the round. It allows the Free People to actually have the last action in the round, as well as the first action in the following round. So if I were Bob, I would be thinking, okay, I need to close out this game. I don't want more military shenanigans. I need to go ahead and get my final 4 victory points. What strongholds am I going after? I would be thinking Gondor might be a very reasonable way to go, because if Shadow goes towards Gondor, it locks in Aragorn. Because right now, that army with Aragorn in it is pretty mobile, because there's nothing directly threatening Gondor. What is he attacking?
What would be funny? 1-6.
Watch it be another 2 hour.
Let's get that 2 and 6. Gollum.
Oh, he's moving. Okay,
He's
so the
actually
Fellowship
moving.
is moving along.
And he has two hits in the hunt.
Anything but an eye.
Okay, so that's just one
A
correction.
1.
And it's not a reveal, even though it has a reveal icon on it. That's Gollum's ability coming into effect right now.
Yep.
Rick keeps them hidden. And the significance of that play, not only does it help the Fellowship try and win the game using the ring ability, destroying the ring, but also it's going to require Bob to allocate an eye next round. So Rick is thinking ahead to next round. Okay, am I going for a military attack? I need to make sure Shadow has as few dice as possible.
Right.
I'll spend my character dice now to cost Shadow a die next round. So I don't know that Rick is really planning on destroying the ring, but it's good to keep that option open, and it does indirectly help the military next round.
Yeah.
Where is Aragorn gonna go? Okay, is he gonna use a token to have the tempo to wait and see? And remember, this was 7 tokens. Normally, a normal amount that I play in my games that I think is fair, around 2. I think 2 tokens is a fair number. They're basically one-time actions that are sort of limited. You can either draw a card, or you can advance a nation politically. So,
play a card.
All right, he'll play a card. That's what it is.
Using a Palantir. Or not. He pulled the die back.
He's used the die.
Just once. That's in this 6 spots.
No, I'm not going to use
Nope.
here. I'm going to use this token to
There he
draw
goes.
a strategy card.
Draw a strategy. So, yeah, let's see what he's looking for. Strategy cards tend to be very efficient for free people, and give you extra options with your dice. I mean, that's true for Shadow as well. I'm not sure if I don't think we commented on it when it happened, but Bob played Many Kings, which is a card that lets you get 3 dice worth of mustering into Southrons and Easterling settlements. That's very interesting. Okay, so Bob, I think I'm not sure I would have played a muster there. I don't think that those units are going up to Mount Gundabad. I think that Mordor is actually a bit more of a risk. So that's interesting. That's an interesting muster choice.
Go ahead.
Isengard is also a potential target.
This muster die. Sorry.
He's
Yeah, I'm going
using
to use this Will of the West to
World of the West as a muster.
attack Pelargir with Aragorn.
He's just going back to Pelargir.
I will
I would not expect that.
play a card.
Wow. I mean, it's an easy hit. I mean, easy is a relative term. He's since it's a city, he's going to need 6s, of course, to make the first attack. But he has a numerical advantage by far.
5 because of Aragorn.
Yeah, so
Aragorn's
Aragorn counts as
beast.
captain of the West.
Yep.
Let's see if he gets a hit. He needs a 6.
Nope.
Okay.
No hits.
No 6s. Oh, that's rude. That one regular got a hit against Aragorn's big army. But he's pressing the attack.
All right.
Okay, so he's staying there, just wants to inflict more casualties.
All right, we got 4 this time.
There's the hit.
There we go. So we got him this time. Oh my gosh, that was absolutely unexpected. So nice play on Bob's part, just playing to the odds. Why not? And I will say,
Nazgul search. He's
Nazgul
going to be
search.
moving. Hold the Nazgul.
moving Nazgul around. So Bob is keeping
Is that
some pressure.
revealed right away, or?
Yeah, so that's just automatic reveal.
Auto reveal. Let's go to Park and Flip.
Fellowship is revealed.
And then I got 1 die left.
Sorry.
Where I will play Clearing Ships.
Okay, so that's why Rick wanted to retake Pelargir. That's a way Kierden ships. Kierden ships is a way of reinforcing Pelargir. Also, Pelargir is an excellent if you want to make a stand. Unlike Iron Hills, Pelargir is an excellent place to make a stand because you have many good retreat locations, and it's a city, so you only get attacked. You only get hit on the first round of combat on a 6, and obviously it's a mustering point as well. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that Sheerdan Ships card, I just wanted to comment a little bit, is a phenomenal card for the south in Gondor, bringing in 2 elven units, right? Sheerdan is thematically, he's the lord of Grey Havens, and he sent his ships down, and 2 elven units show up there to reinforce the Gondor nation in Pelargir or Dol Amroth sometimes. Fantastic card to play.
Absolutely, and it requires the elves to be at war, and it's just a very efficient situation. Now, I will note that this round Bob rolled 2 eyes. He had to put 1 eye in the pool, and now he only has 6 dice to use. And I'll note also that Rick rolled 2 Wills of the West, which tends to be a very risky situation if Day Without Dawn has not been played, because you could potentially be losing 2 dice.
But
knowing that it's already been played, and Rick obviously remembers that it's been played, he can have a lot of flexibility on the board. New Powers Rising, that's a huge mustering card. It's worth 3 dice worth. That's 3 dice worth of mustering for Isengard. And we'll see what happens. He has Rick is keeping 4 dice available, and he's just letting Bob spend his dice down, see where he's going to attack. There can be a giant army that shows up in Osgiliath. He can move Pelargir and Minas Tirith, merge up in Osgiliath, have a 10-point army, and just go wild with that army. I'm actually a little surprised that Bob is not taking Osgiliath. I think that occupying Osgiliath in the Bob battle over Gondor is quite significant.
Oh, it is, because Osgiliath is going to cause you to take casualties as an attacking army. So if you can occupy it for free, basically just move in, you have a strategic advantage.
Yeah, it's a fortification, and it's 3 spaces away from Umbar. So you can go Osgiliath, West Horondor, Umbar. That's 2 moves and then a 3rd attack. Or you can go straight into Minas Morgul. You can go Osgiliath into North Ithilien, or Minas or South Ithilien, and then directly into Minas Morgul.
Right.
So it makes it very difficult for Shadow to know where to defend, and he needs those units. He could. So what he did was he mustered. He used a muster die. I might have been tempted to just merge up in Osgiliath and then just go for a giant attack on Minas Morgul. But I don't know. He's playing very, very well so far, very bold. And there's also an argument to be made of biding your time, going a little slowly, moving the Fellowship one space at a time. That's very reasonable as well. Muster into Dol Guldur. All right, so Bob is reinforcing Dol Guldur, getting prepared to make that army active again.
Okay, what do I want to try to do here?
Yeah, I don't see him marching out that army anytime soon. Too risky. So that's a defensive play at the moment.
Absolutely, and Bob does not have any rings. So he has to be careful of a round when he happens to not roll any muster dice, or very few, or few army dice. So it can be a tricky situation. I will say Bob looks pretty well defended to me. I would be tempted, if I were Bob, to merge in Far Harad to Near Harad.
Absolutely.
And then Near Harad into South Horondor, and then to start just whittling down those Gondorian armies. Okay, all right. So Rick is taking a very reasonable strategy of just making Pelargir an absolute, I don't know, epic army there. 4 leadership, a bunch of elites. It's gonna be going somewhere. Oh, the other nice thing about Pelargir is that it's only worth 1 point. So if you have to leave it, it doesn't really hurt you very much. So the fact that he chose to keep Minas Tirith garrisoned really leaves the Pelargir army free to do as he wishes.
Yeah, he's built up. Eric has built up some army in Pelargir right now. It's going to be very difficult for Bob and the Shadow, even if they bring all of the Southrons and Easterlings together to slam there, at least not first. It's going to have to be a multi-pronged. Here he goes. He's starting to group them together. It's going to have to be a multi-pronged attack where he brings those out, maybe hits Pelargir with those, but he also has to get his armies out of Minas Morgul and start bringing them over to hit Minas Tirith and or go south Pelargir into Dol Amroth.
Yeah. And that's a great point. And I think we're seeing some action around Moria and Lorien as well. And that army that now moved to South Anduin Vale out of Dol Guldur is a decent army. And there are only 2 Elven units there. And Rick is going to have to decide, do I want to defend Lorien and move those armies to Lorien, which I think was his original plan in when he moved to Dimrodale, or does he want to make sure he holds Moria? And it's kind of a tough situation. I think he might need to move his army back into Moria to make sure he holds Moria. Because if he doesn't hold Moria, I'm not sure how he's winning the game. Because if you just keep trading one stronghold for another stronghold, eventually you're going to run out of units.
Yep.
Maybe he has another scouts. He might be in a situation where he has another scouts and he's just trying to bait Bob into the attack. I believe that Shadow has one more swarm of bats, which can cancel the scouts, which would be quite unfortunate for that army in Dimrodale. But I guess we'll see what happens. He's saving his token or he's using his token. 1 die left for each of them.
Okay. I think I'm going to use this character to move these units.
I'll take a 2 food. I'm going. Actually,
3 of
A
them.
little indecisive here. It's interesting. It's a tough call which way you should go.
Now, there's only 2 in Boromir. There.
Can you remind us how he could move into, how Bob can move into Lorien? He has to get rid of a power too great, you said, right?
And he did that. So he
He
has
did that
already
already.
prepared that. Yeah, he's prepared that. So Rick is taking an army movement action. Aragorn is going to Osgiliath, very flexible. That means he could go towards Umbar, he could go towards Mordor. The other thing, it's actually not that far away from Orthanc. You don't normally see a Gondorian army go all the way up to Orthanc, but you could. And the other thing is, now that that army is vacating... Oh, wait, what was the other army movement? Is he thinking... Where did the other army move? Because that was a Will of the West, wasn't it? So he has a second movement. There should have been a second army movement.
Yeah, because he did not move the army that's in the Anduin Vale. He did not move that army. And he only moved the army into Osgiliath from Pelargir.
It's technically legal what happened if he only used a single movement, but obviously with the Will of the West,
You'd normally move
he
two.
should. Yeah, he should have moved too. That's interesting. I mean, this game has been going on for a long time. He could have easily just missed it. I don't understand. Maybe we missed it. Maybe some
Yep.
movement happened that we didn't see. If you're watching the video, you can rewind. Tell us if we missed the movement, or
Yep.
if Slick Rick just missed the movement, because that is certainly significant at this phase of the game. Interesting that there was a little bit of a standoff. I will note that Bob moved a single regular unit into Parth Celebrant from South Anduin Vale. So if Slick Rick does not muster anything into Lorien,
Time to move.
Yeah.
If he doesn't muster anything into Lorien, then Lorien will be just captured. And I don't see if he rolled any musters. Okay, he did.
Elven unit in Lorien.
Great. So
There
he's
you
putting
go.
a 1 elven unit in Lorien. Where's the other unit going to go? I'm thinking Minas Tirith or maybe Pelargir. Pelargir could be good. One other thing I'll mention is that the army in Osgiliath could go north to Dol Guldur as well.
Okay.
That is a possibility, especially with Through a Day and a Night. So Through a Day and a Night from Osgiliath gets you, it's 4 spaces away from Dol
Yep.
Guldur. So normally he wouldn't be able to make that attack from this distance, but if he has Through a Day and a Night, he could. I will also note that Bob, I think, is quite aware of that and is not letting his army in South Anduin Vale get too far away from Dol Guldur. Because
Yep.
if it turns out that that army leaves Osgiliath and heads up to Dol Guldur, then he's going to want to retreat back from South Anduin Vale into Dol Guldur. So they're really, testing each other's defenses, finding out where the weaknesses are, being prepared, feints, counterattacks. This is an amazing game.
This is absolutely amazing. What is the text on that card that he could make the attack from that far away? I know you get to push. I thought you had to
sorry.
push
I
one
misspoke.
more.
I misspoke. What I meant was, if you see 4 dice from the free people, and you count that the stronghold is 4 spaces away,
Right.
you know that there are going to be 4 moves. You'll besiege them, but you won't actually be able to
Right.
make the attack
Got
that
it.
round.
That's
But
got it.
because the Palantir allows for 2 regions of movement, he actually could theoretically reach Dol Guldur and attack it this round. That's what I
Got
meant.
it.
It works.
So we just saw a very, very clever and sneaky play by Bob. A single orc besieged Lorien, went into siege, and you would normally not expect a single regular unit to be able to take out another regular unit in siege. That's just very unlikely.
Right.
But Bob had Durin's Bane, which is the Balrog of Moria, and it allows Shadow to roll 3 dice before combat and get 1 hit on every result 4 or higher. So he was able to eliminate that elven unit right away with the Balrog, and that elven unit didn't even get to strike back. So the Balrog got some revenge for the elves charging into Moria, and instead the Balrog charged out to Lorien. That's where the Balrog was.
He was hiding somewhere over there.
Yeah, he just and now Bob jumped up to 7 victory points.
Yep.
He'll surely be able to take Pelargir to go up to 8 victory points. And it seems pretty tough now for Rick, because once Pelargir gets taken, which it surely will be. I shouldn't say surely, because so many crazy things have happened in this game, but it seems like Pelargir will get taken. Bob only needs 1 more stronghold. I would think that Rohan could be a good place for that to happen. We already have power to Great Blade. There are 3 elites there. Saruman can power up that army quite quickly, and there hasn't been a lot of mustering, really any mustering in Rohan with any of the cards,
Right.
like Eomer or Theoden. They just have not been present.
Right. Yeah. That seems to be almost a no-brainer at this point. I mean, you'll take the South Run Easterling army, take Pelargir. It's going to be hard to take that back. You could continue on theoretically to Dol Amroth, but I don't think you would. And then Saruman, with his magics, raises a quick army and just piles through to the virtually undefended Helm's Deep. Done.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation. There's this interesting standoff that's happening up in Dimril Dale. The fact that there's this army with Boromir and 2 elves just sitting in Dimril Dale while the Witch King is staring on from South Anduin Vale. This is usually you don't have standoffs lasting this long. And I think it's because that army that Aragorn is holding is just, it's keeping the Witch King kind of in check, somewhat close to Dol Guldur. Wow. This is a great situation. The other thing that I could see potentially happening is Aragorn moving towards North Ithilien or Eastern Emyn which threatens both the Dagorlad Morannon route and also threatens Dol Guldur. All right, Pelargir's getting attacked. All right, that makes a lot of sense. Let's see if that unit... Oh, he's thinking what die to use. Okay, so he's doing it. No card.
Really no reason to waste a good combat card for this.
Oh, wait, is he attacking Pelargir or is he attacking Dimril Dale?
Well, if he's attacking Dimril Dale, I believe he would have played a card, but...
There are only 2 units there? Yeah, so... Shield wall... Okay, so this must be Dimril Dale. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, what? Bob has had some good combat.
Yeah, Dimril Dale.
Okay.
3 hits.
3 hits. Shield wall reduces it. Oh, no hits back. Only 1 hit back.
What else we got here? Give me those duels. The question is, will you press?
He's thinking about pressing. I kind of think no, but I'm not sure. The thing is, I'm noticing that Bob might have only 1 other attack this whole round. I think I'm seeing 2 musters, 2 palantirs, and only 1 more attack. So for that reason, he might want to attack, but then he's going to get away from Dol Guldur. But he kind of wants to contain that army in Moria and just get it done with. The thing is, with Slick Rick here, moving into Dimril Dale, I think it might... it's hard to know, but thinking all of that time back when he moved into Dimril Dale in the first place, it might have been better if they were just sitting in Moria. But I don't know. He did use up an attack here. He's got to retreat to Moria, right? Bob is pressing. It's got to be Moria. What?
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, my.
Such creativity.
It's really creative.
Because the other thing is, if he has...
Let's go ahead.
Oh, so he didn't move.
Character.
Okay. He's going to retake Carrick for the 2nd time this game. Oh my gosh. So Rick is really just devoting time and energy to just messing with Bob, because if he can manage to remuster up in Kara, there are not that many units over in Woodland Realm and Erebor. I don't know exactly how many more northern units there are, but it is pretty deep. I see at least 1 elite, probably a regular.
That's how big? That's a very small army, is it?
2 regulars, only 2 regulars,
and a leader,
Boromir, right? And a leader, and Boromir. And so Boromir counts as a captain of the West. You're going to get to roll 3 dice with 2 rerolls. Plus, there are a lot of cards that require companions. Mighty Attack and Brave Stand, things like that.
Sounds like a time to bring down the Mount Gundabad army to reinforce.
It's a great point, but you have to realize he only has 1 movement. I think that's 2 musters, 2 palantirs, and only 1 army movement. So if you vacate Mount Gundabad too much, the elves from Rivendell could come up, and the North and Bree and South Downs or North Downs could come up. So I think that army is probably free to move, and maybe we are seeing some very, very deep foresight from Bob when he mustered up in Mount Gundabad I sort of called that out as maybe I'm surprised he's mustering there. But now I'm sure he's very, very happy to have that elite up there. So you never know. Okay, so that I believe that move we just saw was Bob anticipating the possibility of through a day and a night. Because if Bob did not move units into Dale, Boromir could have gone through a day and a night and recaptured Dale right there. So that was great. What is the other movement that Bob is doing? Did Bob do a different army movement? Doesn't he get... That was an army die.
I'm not sure.
Is Bob still thinking?
You know, I think it's on error rate, but maybe not. You know, while we're doing this, I was actually thinking of another crazy idea. Since this game has been crazy to begin with,
impressive.
I always find like Angmar is like a honeypot because it's only one victory point. And where would you get the other one victory point? You have to go all the way down to Far Harad to get the 2 victory points if you're trying to do a Free People military. So he's only 2 spaces from Angmar, but he's 4 spaces from Far Harad. So that's going to be hard for him to get those 2 for the extra 2 points. I've always wanted to see that happen, and I've never seen that happen.
Rage of the Dunlendings is a very effective army movement using a muster die or a palantir, and he did use a palantir for that. Oh, I didn't even see the palantir of Orthanc is in play. I missed when that got put into play.
Yep.
So amazingly, so we just saw Boromir with 2 elven units march all the way up to Woodland Realm to try and save Woodland Realm. And now we see once Boromir has besieged Woodland Realm, before that small army has had a chance to attack into Woodland Realm, Bob is using his only option, which is Black Captain commands, using a Palantir. He didn't have a normal attack die. He has to use a Palantir, and he happened to have Black Captain commands. He's repositioning Nazgul. He's bringing the Black Captain into Dale, and now he's playing a card. I'm guessing we're going to see a sudden strike. I'm going to predict a sudden strike from Slick Rick, because he only has 2 dice. But how epic would it be if the Witch King was slain by Boromir up in Woodland Realm? What stories?
What? It's not something you hear about every day.
No.
Oh, there you go. There
I finally called it.
You called it right.
Okay, he has 2 leadership. This is huge if these hit. Because this happens before the normal
Bob
attack.
looks
This is
pained.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a huge roll. Okay, 1. That's still significant. That's still very significant. And now they're going to get 2. One of them hits. Only 1 hit, and now they're 3 dice back. The Witch King just killed himself.
Oh,
we'll
my
see.
God.
We'll see. Oh my gosh. Huge.
There it is. It's
2
1.
rerolls. 2 rerolls. The Witch King is dead! That is such boldness. That is incredible boldness.
The Witch King dies
gosh.
from the sword of Boromir.
Up in Woodland
In
Realm!
the
We're in
Woodland Realm. In an elven
my
stronghold. That's just great.
He just drew a card. Oh, he drew a card from the Palantir. Okay. That was epic.
You got 2 dice though. Pass.
I've never seen anything like this. This is absolutely
And
the
that was just
sickest
2
game
units.
I have ever watched, or played in, for that matter. I haven't watched, I guess, that many, but I've heard about a lot of crazy things. This is crazy.
And the thing is, Bob just doesn't have rings, and musters just don't do it.
I feel for him. I mean, he's like in pain. Sorry, Bob, if you listen to this later and you look pained, and I would be pained too if I was you. This is This is rough.
I mean, I don't know. He's had relatively good combat luck. That he has to know that's a risky attack, given that we haven't seen any sudden strikes. I think honestly, they're both playing really well.
They are both playing great games. I mean, you can't underestimate either players or understate, I should say, either player's play. I think Rick is playing an amazing game because he is doing a military victory, trying to on the free people side, which is unheard of hard to do. But Bob is reacting correctly and making the right moves. They're both playing a superior game.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. And the one of the things that I love.
There goes Gundabad. Gundabad is getting beefed.
Yes. One of the things I love about this game is that the decisions that you make along the way have ramifications. Because remember, a long time ago when I said, Gandalf went into Dol Guldur, brought a hobbit, but didn't bring Boromir. And I said, why didn't Boromir go into Dol Guldur with Gandalf? He really should have. But if Boromir had gone into Dol Guldur, he couldn't have just freed Woodland Realm. An epic march from Lorien to Moria, from Moria up to Woodland Realm. Boromir is really proving his mettle this game. It's a redemption. This is a redemption story for Boromir.
It's a redemption story for Boromir. Does not get killed by the fighting Uruk-hai in the Anduin Vale, like in the books and the movies. He gets his redemption against the Witch King. And that, again, as we kind of mentioned earlier on, we can play a little revisionist history in this game. And any Tolkien fan just watching this played out, you can just feel for the characters doing slightly different things or big different things here versus
this is very different.
And this one is very different.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting situation for Rick. He gets to go first. Maybe he's already passed. It's not exactly clear to me what Boromir can do now that he has only one unit. Obviously, he would love to retake Dale and then start mustering in Dale. But at the same time, he also would love to retake Woodland Realm. But he can't keep the siege on Woodland Realm and retake Dale simultaneously. So we'll see what he does. It does seem like the Palantir Vorthank is an incredibly powerful card that lets Bob draw new cards whenever he plays the Palantir, whenever he uses a Palantir to play a card. But I don't think he rolled any Palantirs this time. As far as I can tell, I'm seeing 2 musters, maybe even 3 musters, and 3 army movements, which isn't bad. 3 army movements, but
there's a Lorien attack from Dunland
into Moria. So he's trying. Bob is trying
into Moria. That's what I meant. Yep.
Yeah. He wants to recapture Moria.
North Dunland going into Moria to recapture it, get back those 2 victory points that the free people have currently.
I cannot believe this is the game.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an absolutely unbelievable game to catch on film. It required many extremely bold choices on Slick Rick's part, and Bob is, I think, playing really well. He can't. The thing about this strategy is you can't take 0 risks as Shadow. You have to keep the game moving forward at least a little bit. And I think Bob has been very thoughtful and incremental. Obviously, that was a little bit of a bad luck with Dale. But quite honestly, if you let free people retake Woodland Realm, that would be a mess. So I think it was really the right choice.
Army movement 2.
Army movement, time for Aragorn.
There goes.
Okay,
here comes Aragorn. Boromir had his moment.
Aragorn has 1.
Aragorn has a full stack. That is a full stack of 10.
There is only 1 regular unit manning Minas Tirith right now. That's it.
Hey, you know what you said a while ago about Angmar and Far Harad? That is in play. That is absolutely in play in this situation. Because that northern unit just moved from North Downs to Ettenmoors.
Yep.
With a single movement, it can capture Angmar.
That's right. And we would need a bunch of movements from the Osgiliath army to get down to Far Harad. So I'm still not thinking that that's what he's going to do, but he certainly can threaten that, and he could split that army up, right, and bring part of them down into what is that? The region
West Hirondor?
West Hirondor, and then he's got a clear path. I mean, who knows?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing about defending against a military attack. It's very hard to know where to defend. And I almost wonder if he wants to use his last card ability, card token.
Our big ball.
Nope. No. He's
straight
going
for Mordor.
He's going to
do
Minas
walk
Morgul,
straight into
baby.
Mordor. Yeah.
Okay.
That
So
is
this-
North Ithilien.
Yeah. This is a very tough situation because that army in Dagorlad can be very quickly decimated by Aragorn's army. And if he does not retreat that army from Dagorlad back into Morannon, Morannon could be attacked without a lot of defense. So the fact that that unit moved from North Downs to Edmores was, I think, a little bit of a feint at Angmar that sort of caused Bob to use one of his musters. And there's a lot of feints and timing choices. And I will note, still, it's possible if Rick has Through a Day and a Night, Aragorn can still head up to Dol Guldur. Dol Guldur is absolutely still an option.
Interesting.
So Bob
He
is
mu-
mustering.
he mustered into North Dunland. An elite.
It's a good choice because that gives him more hit points and more leadership, because that counts as a leader when he besieges Moria. So Bob is going to probably muster again in North Dunland, and then he's going to move from North Dunland into Moria and retake that 5 hit point army in Moria.
Yep.
That's his plan, at least. I don't know if he'll actually succeed at that. So what did... Oh, interesting. So that actually... So Rick just gave Bob an extra tempo, and I'm not sure that he actually wanted to give him that tempo at that moment, because now those 2 units are going to be able to move very efficiently into Moria, and the units from Gorgoroth will be able to reinforce Morannon.
Die here to attack Dagorlad.
Yeah.
All right,
So if
there he
Rick,
goes.
if Rick had done that first, then there wouldn't have been another elite in North Dunland.
Yeah, but now he's threatening with, if he takes this army out, it's 1 move, and he has a game-winning position. He takes his 4th victory point if he takes Morannon.
With 5 rerolls.
I would have saved the confusion. That's interesting.
Oh, 3 hits.
All right, so if Bob could roll a whole bunch of 1s here. No
1 hit.
All right, so this is what I was.
He's
pointing
gonna
out,
hit. All right.
That now Bob is going to be able to do an army movement from Gorgoroth into Morannon and simultaneously.
Yep, there he goes. Exactly what you said.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. So if that was a tempo issue, because if Rick had not drawn a card when he did, and instead just proceeded with Aragorn's attack as soon as possible, then that whole sequence, Bob would have 1 fewer elite. All right, so he's going after Moria yet again. I really would have been tempted to save the.
I mean, this is for the
Confusion,
game,
but-
right? This is for the game. If he takes Morannon, this is it. He might as well give this a shot.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Bob needs to retake Moria, and the thing is, you'll notice that Barad-dûr is uncontrolled. It is completely empty. Okay, so they are terrible. 1-6 already. These hit on 5s. So that's 2 hits.
Oh, I got 3 coming at you here, hitting on 5s. 1 hit.
1 hit.
Got 2 against me. Do I got Elven units
Oh,
in
wow.
there?
So he's going to take back these 2 victory points in Moria but then he's going to lose them over in Moran. This is crazy. It was this every time. There's
A recapture.
one guy, yeah, one guy takes 2, the other one takes 2 away. It's like back and forth.
I think I'm just going to
Okay. He took 2 on his elite.
He's pressing. Now that's going to cost him a leadership. So he just lost 1 leadership. And he has to retake Moria here.
Has to do it because he's losing this game if he doesn't retake Moria.
Very likely. I mean, maybe minus more, maybe Moran will hold. Relentless Assault. He just lost 2 regulars. Now these are going to hit on 4s. Done. Oh, not done yet. This has to hit on a 6. Okay, there's 1 regular left. No hits.
He's going to press it again.
This is the last chance. So he has 6 dice. 6 dice to roll 6, but he might have, yeah, this might be Great Host. Finally, Great Host. Oh, Onslaught. Okay, that's good. So the fact that Rick did not get that many hits back. Okay, those missed. Okay, wait. He gets to attack back. Oh, did he not roll? Wait. Okay, that's important.
There you go.
Okay, missed. Didn't matter. 4 Onslaught. Okay. So Moria has been recaptured.
0 victory points now for the free peoples. But knocking on Mordor's door here with Moranin.
Yeah, I mean that's a big army.
Single unit.
It's a massive army with Aragorn in it.
So what's happening right now is because this is exactly the benefit of the tokens, and I'm guessing that Rick foresaw this. Because Rick used a token, he gets the last action of the round, and because he's free people, he gets the first action of next round.
Right.
So he's going to be able to just move those units straight into Barad-dûr. He's just walking in, and he's going to capture that. And it's going to be quite hard for Bob to retake that.
That is sick. That is absolutely a high-level play. He uses it.
Yeah.
He just gets the free move, splitting that army up, and he's moving right into Barad-dûr. He's got to hold those 4 points, wins the game.
I think Westham Net into Helm's Deep is what I would be tempted to do with the other part of the movement, but we'll see. He's thinking, so he's thinking how many he has to move. I would think Weston Net into Helm's Deep, but I guess we'll see. He's surprised me many, many times before. The one thing I might have considered was bringing a leader with the army in Golgoroth in case you happen to not roll any army movement or any Wills of the West, which is relatively unlikely. But in case you do, then at least that army can still walk in without using their rings.
Good point.
Okay.
On to the next.
It probably doesn't matter. He wants to maximize his efficiency in the Battle of Moranon. But Rick has now used all 7 of his tokens, and the fact that he used that there was huge. Because he's going to get to walk into Barad-dûr, and I mean 7 tokens is just a lot of tokens.
A lot of Palantirs.
Okay. So Bob only rolled 1 eye. He got very happy about that. Even 0 would have been happy for him. So he's got plenty of dice to work with, but Rick is on the move here.
Quite honestly, it could be quite bad because Bob only has I think only has 2 attacks. So what army can come recapture Moranon? I mean, maybe he has the card Ring Wraiths are abroad, but he doesn't have any elites. with that army, or maybe one elite in the army and minus Morgul. I mean, this is incredible. The fact that you only rolled two attacks.
Yeah, I think that's only one elite there. You're right. It's hard to see
So-
exactly, but I'm seeing that that looks like one elite only in Minas Morgul.
So Aragorn, I think, is very likely to be able to take out the 5 regulars. I mean, 5 regulars is decent, but it's Aragorn and a bunch of Northern elite units. There's also a card, Athelas, which is a very powerful healing effect when Strider is Guide. But the bottom part of that is Anduril, which gives 2 automatic hits on the leader reroll if Aragorn is in the battle.
Very
So
situational,
maybe-
but it's going to be this situation if he's got that card.
It really could be.
By the way, take a look at the deck of Bob and the Shadow Player. He's got one card, and he just drew
Good.
that last card on the event side, the strategy side, right? And he only has what looks like 2 cards left on the character side.
We'll start
That's
attacking
thin.
there.
And as everybody knows, these cards are one and done. So if he ever needs to draw another card and it's not there, he doesn't get it, and that's bad.
I mean, this could easily be the end.
Yep.
Okay, Valor. So he gets,
I think it's the end.
These are hitting on 5s. Aragorn's army can fight. These hit on 6s. Okay, 2 hits is decent. Let's see what Bob gets back. This matters in case there's a counterattack. 2 hits back matters for sure.
Yep.
And I notice,
And I will press.
He's pressing the attack, of course.
yeah, so Rick actually got pretty unlucky with only 2 attacks, but Bob probably got more unlucky with only 2 attacks.
Okay, second round of combat.
Let's see what he does.
My turn? Well, that is going to be...
You want to predict this one? This is harder to predict.
Let
with
me see if it's a character card or a strategy card. And I'll make
it's
my
strategy.
prediction. All right. I don't know.
Valor.
Oh, Valor
again.
again. Okay. Yep, that's good. So these are gonna hit on 5s. 2. Can there be another 6? No 6. So that's lucky because each time that's exactly what you'd expect. 1. Each time that Rick
Aragorn
has to
gives
press,
+1, I believe, to the dice, and then we will actually give it right
he's
back.
losing more hit points. So like these are just hit points getting whittled away.
On to the third round of combat. No card.
Oh, no card.
Gonna roll a
Okay.
6. He has 5 dice. He has 5
Yeah.
dice to roll a 6. He should
I
be
was
able to
just
roll.
expecting him to just make every. There he goes. He rolled a 6.
Yeah, this was actually a very average, exactly what we would expect average fight.
Okay. That is 4 victory points. He is now in the win condition. Bob has one option only to take one of those back. And that's
If
going
Bob
to
had
be
more-
rough.
If Bob had more attacks, he does have another option, which is if Bob gets to 10 this round,
True. He
then
wins.
then he wins.
Right.
So I'm just looking at Minas Tirith there. I'm looking at Pelargir there. If he had 1 attack for Pelargir, 1 attack to move to Osgiliath, another attack to besiege Minas Tirith, and then a 4th attack to be able to take out Minas Tirith. But I don't think he has 4 attacks. I just don't think he has them. There is a card, the Shadow is Moving. I don't know if that's been played yet, but that's a Palantir that allows you to move armies. That would help him get into position. So this is a really tough call for Bob if he goes for 10 victory points, if he has the attacks, to take out Pelargir and Minas Tirith. And I will note that Rick does not have great remaining dice. I mean, he might draw a couple cards.
Right.
Maybe he can muster once in Minas Tirith, but that probably wouldn't be enough if the Shadow Army has enough movement to get there.
He's going muster.
He mustered a Nazgul into,
Minas Morgul.
yeah.
So
We'll see if he gets another Nazgul or not.
So what, he only has 2 army dice there to actually move and or make attacks. 2. Unless he has a card that can also make him, and he's got plenty of Palantirs there to do that.
Draw a card.
So here's the thing: why wouldn't Rick bring an army of any size, one guy, down to Gorgoroth? Just holding the ground a little bit.
Great point. He could, but it would require a ring. Because
he doesn't have the die for it.
Right.
He has
And he
no way to
doesn't-
do it.
And he doesn't want to give Bob the ring because then Bob could use the ring to make an extra attack. Not worth
no. That is his one ring right now.
it. Yeah. One thing, totally. One thing that he could have considered was when he was walking into Barad-dûr, having seen that Bob had so few attacks, maybe he could have left one guy behind. Shadow's moving? Okay, so this is the card that had he left one regular behind in Gorgoroth, Shadow's moving would not have worked. He would have avoided Shadow is moving because you can only move. You can't attack.
Right.
Very interesting. Yeah, so he doesn't have quite enough. Unless he has if he has Ring Racer Abroad, I don't know if Ring Racer Abroad have already been played, but if he has Ring Racer Abroad, he could take Pelargir and Minas Tirith. So I would expect there's a muster in Minas Tirith.
The Eagles.
I am shocked by that. Why the Eagles are coming?
Roll a die for each present.
Why do we have that?
Doesn't really matter.
Heroic death?
It's gotta relocate.
What?
So what's the play here? He's getting rid of
He's getting rid of
a Nazgul?
He's getting rid of Nazgul, which could matter a lot more if Bob didn't have a
Two armies.
Palantir. Yeah, two armies, right.
Yeah,
but I
two
would
army
be,
dice.
as Rick, I would be quite worried about an attack into Pelargir, and then an attack into Minas Tirith, and then finishing off Minas Tirith with Ring Racer Abroad. So that is, I'm shocked at that use of that card. Feels pretty small. Also, Eagles are coming. That is the combat effect of that is Heroic Death, which allows you to use a leader as a hit point, or a character as a hit point. So if he had brought a leader with him to Barad-dûr, he might have been tempted to save that combat card. It could be a good combat
The
card
rest
for
are face
Barad-dûr.
down, so you have no access.
All the rest of it.
These ones here are all face down.
Okay.
How many cards do you have?
We got 2 and 2.
Doing
So
a
one
card
of the-
check.
Yeah, one of the things with War of the Ring is that the players who know the game really well know that which cards could be possible within the character card deck,
Yep.
and which cards could be possible within the strategy card deck. So when Bob said, "How many cards do you have?"
Bob just
that
picked
was
up
a
his
late-
last character card and his last card period for the game. He will not be picking up another card. Even with the Palantir die in front of him, he's going to be playing a card or passing that die.
Yeah. So when Rick said, "I have 2 and 2," he meant I have 2 character cards and 2 strategy cards.
Yep.
Which is a polite way of for Bob to know, because you're supposed to know
Yes.
basically how many of which type of card they have.
Right. And right, as you say, with the very experienced players, they're going to be counting on certain amount of things in your hand. If you only had character cards, well, then you don't have the strategy cards, and therefore you won't be able to do this, 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 and this. So they have it all plotted out in their head.
Very interesting. So I guess Bob had already played Ring Racer Abroad, because I think if he had enough attacks, I think he would have gone for Pelargir with one army, Minas Tirith with the other army, and then Ring Racer Abroad to take out Minas Tirith. But I guess he didn't have it, or it's already been played. So his only option with those attacks was to take out Baradeur. And I will note, if Rick had left a regular unit in Gorgoroth, 0 chances for Bob. He wouldn't have even been in this chance. This is his last die that he's using to make this attack. He has to get 3 hits.
And then these here, so if you make your top
And are they all character or some of them? Yes, they're all character.
He's literally counting.
I'm
Bob is
not
now literally
sure-
making sure he counts all the cards that have been played by Rick.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that would matter so much.
Attack Baradeur.
But
Wow, he's
no
he's
cards.
frustrated.
Daylight's a good card. Very defensive. That's the best defensive card.
3 and a 5s. 2.
2-5. Two hits.
Press.
So probably I'm thinking Bob's going to end with an onslaught. This is going to be an onslaught. This is, I think, the last round of combat.
It's a desperate
Oh,
battle.
relentless. Oh, desperate battle.
5
Okay.
and 6s.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow!
Incredible
Wow!
game. That was a
Left and
beautiful-
very
Oh my
good.
gosh!
Okay, so
Phenomenal win by Eric Cipolla as the
Wow.
Free Peoples with a military victory. I guess, Bob, I feel for him too, but masterfully
What a game.
played on both sides. I mean, don't you say? Don't you think?
That was absolutely worthy of this championship.
Yeah.
Really, congratulations. I mean, that was unbelievable. So he took Dol Guldur, he took Moria, he took Moranon, he took Baradeur. And Bob just recaptured, and then the final round didn't have quite enough action dice to retake Baradeur. Wow.
It absolutely could have gone either way, too. I mean, Eric's movement of his armies, I think, were the single thing that completely changed the tide. The way that he danced in the north and the way that he retreated at certain points to regions that you and I wouldn't even think to do, right? I mean, and it ended up paying off for him, like every time, delaying the entire campaign of the Shadow.
That really was a great
Yeah. Wow. I'm still in shock. I mean,
The judges are talking about how great the game was right now.
Yeah. I mean, it was an incredible game.
That's it. I mean, that is just amazing. Ira, thank you so much for joining me here today. I think this has been a lot of fun. Your insights have been incredible. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you to the World Board Gaming, Championship, World Series of Board Game to let us do this. It's really a great pleasure. If you're interested in more content, definitely check out the Discord. And I have a YouTube channel entirely dedicated to War of the Ring. You can go to War of the Ring Champ. That's me that's Rick right now, but it's a fun channel. If you want more content, check it out. And thanks very much for having me.
And since we're plugging, you can check out the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel as well, where I do my podcast, Board Games Insider. We talk about the hobby game industry at length and unravel it for you. But for now, Stephen Buonocore, the Podfather of Gaming, with Ira Fay, on behalf of the World Series of Board Gaming and the War of the Ring Championship, we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.